The International Committee of the Red Cross says the crisis in Syria has developed to such an extent that the country is now in a state of civil war, and it says as a result the Geneva Conventions need to be applied. The fighting continues to escalate, with the capital Damascus experiencing some of the heaviest fighting since the start of the uprising 16 months ago. The ABC's Middle East correspondent Anne Barker reports.
Clashes between government forces and rebels raged in the south of Damascus as the army continued its attack on opposition strongholds. As the fighting spread, tyres were burnt in protest, blocking roads around the capital. The army offensive was launched just hours after the government denied killing hundreds of civilians in the village of Tremse last week.
What happened was not a massacre. What happened was a military operation. There were clashes between security forces, whose duty is to defend civilians, and heavily armed illegal groups that don't believe in a political solution.
The UN mission has sent its team of specialised civilian and military experts back into Tremse to continue the investigation into reports of a massacre there. They maintain the attack appeared to target the homes of army defectors and activists. They spoke to witnesses and inspected more than 50 destroyed homes and continue to find unexploded shells and other weapons.
Please don't touch. So far we've seen a number of burned out buildings, and we have seen a lot of remnants of war in terms of shelling, bullet holes.
The International Red Cross says the fighting is now so widespread it's formally classified it as an internal armed conflict, effectively a civil war. It means combatants on both sides are now officially subject to the Geneva Conventions and could face prosecution for war crimes.
Both the government forces and the opposition forces and any of the parties to the conflict are required to follow now this set of rules which come from the Geneva Conventions, which actually clarify how war should be fought.
Meanwhile, international pressure for a common position is gaining momentum. UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon is going to China, and the peace envoy Kofi Annan is in Russia to put pressure on both countries to back tougher action against Syria.
If Russians maintain their present position, then that once again will paralyse the United Nations Security Council.
The Security Council has until Friday to renew the UN mission in Syria. Anne Barker, ABC News.